When we talk about spirituality, we often coin this term surrender yourself to the higher power. Why? Why do people talk about surrendering so much? And if God is all giving and kind, why does He want us to surrender to Himself? I had the same questions earlier, only until I experienced it in my life accidentally, and this started my own journey into the expedition unknown. Earlier, the term God was a very occasional word for me, which passed me by my parents or others around me. However, I had a lot of questions regarding God and His existence, and this is why I never believed in Him 100%. I thought everything is a product of our own actions, as everything used to happen the way I wanted earlier. For example, I knew if I would study hard, I will get good grades. If I will prepare with all my heart, I will definitely get a good job, and so on. Although still stands true to me, but only when I experienced turmoil in my life and found out that my own mind can be my biggest enemy, that was when I stopped believing in myself. I explained this part in my past videos, and this increased my curiosity into knowing about God because I know now that nothing is under my control. Even a small action that I take is governed by the laws of God itself. I understood it very clearly from my own experience that no matter how good your intentions be or how much ever good you want for others, you still can't be happy or peaceful if we can't understand the duality of our own nature and how it changes so quickly. You might think that you are a good person, but for someone else, you might be just the opposite. We all believe we are doing good in life, at least most of us do. Then why do we have people coming to us with complaints or resentments or hatred, anger towards us? Of course, you will say they are not the nice people and they do not understand you. But if you're so good, then why is it so challenging for you to accept others or others to you? It should have been easy, right? After all, good has its own limitations. Or I would rather say that keeping an ego of being good has its limitations, as it does not allow us to accept the opposite as it is. We believe we are the perfect ones, which is not true. We need to understand that there is something which is beyond being good, and that is God in itself. I am saying this because He is giving to everyone, no matter what our definition of good or bad is. Yes, there are spiritual laws to govern everything. That is where the concept of karma comes into play. That every action has an equal and opposite reaction. But it doesn't mean he will be partial towards those who are just doing the good things or only provide to those so called good people. We all are provided with an equal free will in life. We all have the power to choose our every action in every moment equally. It is us who are solely responsible for our own life. And this is such a beautiful power in our hands because God is letting us decide for ourselves. We all are a part of God or creations of Him, or you can say we all are energies of God itself. So, how one soul be different than the other one? How one soul be good and one be bad? It is through our actions alone and through exercising this free will we have become a person who we are today. And since this soul is a part of God, it doesn't stay in peace if there is something it has done against the nature of being divine. I will dive into this aspect in my other video, but let's now focus on the topic of surrendering to the God. The This background was very important to understand before we go through what it means to surrender and why we are asked to surrender to God. So, what does it mean to surrender? Surrendering yourself means knowing and accepting God's presence without any doubts in our minds. Knowing that we are nothing and just a minuscule part of God. The ultimate goal of our soul is to realize itself and understand that it is divine in nature. But since we are born as humans, we have limitations of our physical body and mind. To surrender is to dissolve your ego and work according to the will of God. Sounds too heavy, right? But let me explain further. Understanding that by getting a life of human in itself is having grace from God because we have all the free will to do what we want. We are given all the resources at our hands to utilize, and the most basic of the necessities is that we all are provided with the air that we breathe every second. But we keep forgetting how blessed we already are and keep complaining to Him when we face the consequence of our own actions. To surrender to Him means to accept His grace and appreciate it. It is like a child who grows up and is being grateful to his parents for providing for him. Now, you may think that your parents created you, so it becomes their responsibility to take care of you. Yes, that's true. And even if you don't thank them, they still love you no matter what. But if you show your respect and gratitude towards them, you are showing your love to them and you get double the love you have received until now. So, what happens at this moment in a family when you show your gratitude to your parents? Your parent forgets about the mistakes you would have unknowingly made as you are still younger than them and forgive you for everything, right? God is exactly like that. The only difference is that you can always fool a human being but not God. So, purifying your intention is the key to surrender. Understand that you have flaws and surrender yourself to Him. When you surrender, you purify your heart and become extremely humble, not only to others or God, but to yourself as well. We all somehow punish ourselves internally and become too stressed when things don't go our way, and then we inflict lots of pain on ourselves. Sometimes we are too stressed on how others behave around us, and when they are doing something which we consider as wrong, we can't tolerate it, and we keep stressing about that as well. This happens specifically in the case of seeing our own family members who we are so connected to so deeply that we end up in such situations. So, either due to situations under our control or not, we take stress, and stress is a form of punishment to us. And you won't believe that when you surrender, the first thing God would help us with is make us stress free and imparts us with His true knowledge. I'm saying this from my own experience, and I'm only a very regular person, not even a saint. I'm still learning the art of meditation properly, but God has been extremely kind to consider a person like me and take all my stress away, and I'm not lying. Now, think about a time in your life where you will be stress free as well, or if not, you will know how to make yourself stress free in case you are in that situation. Would you not want to attain this peace of mind? When you surrender, you are completely dissolving your ego, which works just the opposite of your soul. If you are still not convinced by my words, let me give more clarity on why am I emphasizing on surrendering so much. When I was just a product of my own ego, my mind used to jump from one thing to another and never stayed at one place. I was bored easily and there was not much focus in the mundane tasks that I did. I used to zone out of the conversations easily. This caused me a lot of mental tiredness, and since I was everywhere, I was not able to manifest anything properly and even failed at keeping myself peaceful as I could not properly distinguish right from wrong and how much to intervene in all the contexts of my life. Post the one incident which I shared earlier, which occurred in my life, and I call it as coming face to face with my ego. I realized it is this ego which is the source of our suffering. So you surrender this ego to God. And once you do that, you come to terms with operating through your superconscious mind or your soul, which knows what is right for you. Once you do that and keep at it, that is when all your suffering ends. And this is what God wants from us. The key is that it is not the one time activity but an everyday realization, and you make progress with each day. This is where meditation comes into picture as it reminds you of your purpose in life. People say if God is so great, then why does He not make our life easy and give us His grace without any efforts? But if He does that, no one will grow and purify their heart, and eventually we will all end up misusing the grace from Him. Even our parents wait for us to become responsible enough before they start giving us money or even property. It is not because they are not kind, it is because they want us to become capable enough to handle it well. Eventually, when we are completely surrendered, we just know it because God's grace is already available to all of us. It is just that we are not yet mature enough to receive it. Also, we are not humble enough to know it. Once you become responsible, that is when He shares His love with you, and you start to see the same things in different light and through the eyes filled with love for everything around you. One test to check where you are in life in terms of surrendering is to see how much stressed you are currently. Because those who truly believe in God, they never stress about anything, and also they don't depend upon anything for their happiness. If you are currently not at peace with your life or mind, it definitely means you are doing something in life which needs to be stopped, like your own wrong action, speech, or even thoughts. Only when we work on cleansing ourselves, we find true peace. Before ending this video, I wanted to share a very beautiful verse from Bhagavad Gita on surrendering, which is Tamev Sharanam Gaccha Sarv Bhavena Bharata Tat Prasadat Param Shantim Sthanam Prapyasi Shashvatam. It means तमेव मतलब सिर्फ उनकी शरण में unto him only. शरणम गच्छा means शरणागति और surrender. सार्वभावेन means पूरे दिल से और wholeheartedly. भारता means Arjun, son of Bharat. tat prasadat param shantim sthanam prapyasi shashvatam means through his grace only you will attain eternal abode of supreme peace. So even in Bhagavad Gita, they are mentioning about surrender, but we never knew it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.